Hey friends, it's Meg. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Junk Journal with me video. I won't dwell on the elephant in the room too much with everything going on at the minute, but I will say stay safe, follow all the advice, and I'm just sending all my love because it's just crazy at the minute, really. But yeah, so I thought we'll have a really relaxed journal with me, just have a chat, try and take our mind off things really. So I asked over on my Instagram for any questions, if you wanted me to chat about anything, so that's what I'm going to do. And if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm at Meg Journals. I'm basically Meg Journals anywhere. So go and follow me there. And also make sure to subscribe, because I don't normally ask to subscribe at the beginning, but I'm going to make a point of that. If you like my videos and you want to see more, then make sure you subscribe. So I had a question from August B Writing over on Instagram, and she asked, how did you get into journaling and how often do you journal? So it's kind of two questions in one. So for how I got into journaling, so I've always really wanted to be the kind of person that had a diary or a journal to document things, but I could never keep up that habit. You can probably relate. Like, I had so many journals or notebooks with like 2 or 3 pages in it, where I'd started it off normally at the start of the year as well, like January the 1st, and all good intentions with trying to keep up the habit, and then I just never could keep up with it. And then once you've not journaled for like a month, I'd always be like, oh, I can't go back now. So I always had that desire to do that, and plus I'm always like really creative in everything I do anyway. So I discovered I used to go on to like blogs and stuff back in the day. I'm talking like, gosh, like, yeah, probably like 10 years ago now. This is when I was like 13, 14. I used to go on to different blogs, and I didn't know how to subscribe to them, so I would literally go in and type in the names of my favourite blogs. And some of the blogs I used to follow, I remember, were Julie Faye Fan Balzer, Jenny Belly, and I Hannah as well. Those are like my top 3 favourites. And all those 3 ladies used to do the most wonderful like art journaling and upcycling. I know Jenny Belly used to do a lot with making things out of like junk and like, you know, recycling cards to make a book, that kind of thing. So I always used to find that fascinating. And at that time I was doing my like GCSEs at school for art, so I was really taken with the idea of trying out this art journaling, and so I kind of tried different styles throughout the years. I use it mainly as like a sort of way of de-stressing and taking my mind off things, but I also just always really want to be creative anyway, so it's like a creative outlet for me. So I kind of do like half documenting and then half like more like play, like just expressive, abstract kind of art journaling. That's what I used to do, as well as like collecting ephemera and stuff. So it's really like developed over time, but that's how I got into it, really, was through seeing it on old blogs back in the day. And like, I had no idea that this concept of art journaling was a thing, but I'm really glad that I found it. And obviously over time I've kind of developed my own little style niche, and I don't make a habit of journaling every day like religiously, because I work full time and I have other things to do, sadly, like the chores, the things we don't want to do but we have to do. So I try not to be too hard on myself, but I also know that if I haven't like been creative or done any like journaling in a while, then I make a point to schedule some time in with myself, and really sort of make it a priority, because it's not necessarily about like finding the time. Like, if you think, oh well, I've just got no time to journal, it's more making that time. So saying to yourself, okay, I'm gonna go to bed half an hour earlier, and I'm gonna just sit and journal for half an hour before I go to bed, rather than maybe sitting on your phone on social media, or if you're guilty of getting up in the morning and lying on your phone, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook or Twitter, then using that time instead to go to your journal and develop your creative habit that way, whether you're just doing some writing or some colouring, some doodling, some cutting and sticking, then that's kind of the best approach, I think, is to sort of be more intentional with it, but don't be too hard on yourself. So be kind to yourself with not doing it every day, because obviously there's other things that might take priority, but having that awareness that if it's something you want to do, then you've got to make time for it. So that's what I'd suggest, and especially with everything that's going on at the minute, journaling is going to be a really great way to just sort of take your mind off things, switch off, and just be creative, de-stress, maybe like try out some new techniques or test out some of your supplies. Maybe you can go and rummage through your stash and find something that you haven't used in a while because you've forgotten about it, and find joy with your journaling that way. But I really think that just be intentional, and it's a great way to be mindful as well. So that's a very long answer, but that's essentially what my approach is for how often I journal. And then when people say, how do you find the time to journal? So yeah, and then I think I might have time for one more question. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this username. I will put it on the screen actually, but they asked what my favourite type of binding is. So normally I use the figure of 8 binding for my junk journals, just because it's relatively like simple and easy to like pick up and do. It's not like, it's very beginner friendly, shall we say. I've dabbled in like Coptic stitch, but I think because of all the like measuring and you've got to be quite precise, that kind of puts me off. That's not really like, my brain just doesn't work that way. So I want to have a way that I can bind that is far more simple, easy, quick, and it just does the job. So that's what I use for my junk journals, and then for my sketchbooks I like to use a what's it called, just like what's it called, the opposite of a spiral bound. I can't think what it's called, but like, so there's no gap between your pages. That's what I prefer for that, and for my like art journals as well. I really don't like having rings in between. I find that it breaks up the pages, and for me it gets in the way of like my hand when I'm trying to write or trying to do anything. I know some people like to like fold the book over, but that's just my personal preference. So I hope you've enjoyed today's little junk journal with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.